Hey, welcome to Brickrock Builds. Today we're building Nintendo's Donkey Kong for my 1/10 scale 80s arcade. This is the third build in the series, but it's one of the last machines I designed for the arcade. Even though all Nintendo cabinets of this era were basically the same, this cabinet does stand out among the other games in the build. Between the bright light blue color, a totally different coin slot, and the use of a glass bezel, it offered some unique design challenges that were a lot of fun to figure out. One challenge was the profile. I used the reference image feature in Studio to design a profile directly over a drawing of the cabinet. This was my first time using that feature, and it worked great. That screenshot really illustrates why I love building in Studio. In Studio, you can worry about form before structure, which can be a lot harder to do with real bricks. One unique feature of this build is the floating style base. Unlike other games where the sides start at the ground level, the blue sides of this build sit on a single black plate to give it a floating effect. The coin door of this machine is very different from all the other games in the arcade. It uses a slanted coin slot along with a protruding coin return, and it's just 4 studs wide. I was worried about how I was going to make that work. But then I remembered my one advantage, depth. Here you can see how I made it all work. It's a bit tricky, but for me, this is the best part of building Lego. It's solving these really hard to figure out problems in fun ways. For the coin returns, I'm using that trick that I always forget, where you can take a 1x2 tile and slide it anywhere on a single stud. This way, I can expose just a tiny bit of that curved tile to create the coin return. Up next, you can see the speaker grill that I printed on a 2x2 tile. I used my pad printer for this, but really this could have been made with a vinyl cutter. If you want to make decals for your mocks, a vinyl cutter is a great way to do it. I have a larger machine, but even a small Cricut can easily make stickers for a Lego mock. Now the control panel for this game is a pretty tight fit, so I'm using some 1x2 plates with vertical bars to attach it to some clips underneath. This allows me to mount the control panel at a slight angle in a tight spot. Here's a cross section that shows how that works. The glass bezel had its own challenges. Since the clear panel is mounted sideways and the bricks that frame it are facing stud to stud, I had to use a few tricks to make a stable frame around the panel. Here you can see me running some wires for the lights inside the cabinet. I glued 3 tiny LEDs to a clear piece of acrylic to mount inside the cabinet. It doesn't look pretty, but the UV LEDs will be perfect for lighting up the screen. One thing I realized in the arcade build is that the newer clear Lego bricks are UV reactive, while older bricks are not. So for this build I wanted an older panel for the glass. Another unique feature of this build is the black sides on the inside of the cabinet. Most games have a black interior, but the limitation of the brick sizes makes this a bit hard to replicate in an open cabinet. Since the bevel hides the thickness, I was able to configure some black wedge tiles to make this work. I could have done this with a sticker, but where's the challenge in that? Fitting the display inside the cabinet was a bit of a struggle, since the connection wasn't super strong and it kept wanting to fall off, but I eventually made it work. Now for the roof. It uses a combination of snap bricks and brackets to form the inside ceiling and the top of the cabinet. One thing I really didn't think about when I started this project is how much time I would spend making instructions for myself. Studio's auto-generated instructions are usually enough to get by, but since I was recording these and they're pretty complex, I really had to go through them and clean them up to make it easier for myself. Alright, so here I am in the home stretch. All that's left is putting on some stickers and doing the back. I was a little nervous about how this bezel sticker was going to look, but it came out great and I'm really happy with it. Unlike the other games, the back of this machine sits flush with the sides. This was a bit of a compromise in order to fit everything inside, but it's one of those things that only I know about, so I think I can get over it. Alright, now it's time to test out the lights. I'm super happy with how these came out. The black light really pops the screen and makes it visible to the panel. Now all we need is some side art and we're done. What do you think? I'm really happy with how it came out. They look great together and I can't wait to build more. Tune in next time when I build a Miss Pac-Man cocktail table. Don't forget to like and subscribe to get more Brickrock builds.